We'd like to thank BetChrisCanada.net for their support of the Hockey Betting Podcast. I'm Brian Blessing in sunny Las Vegas.
And I'm Cam Stewart in cold Toronto, Canada.
If you love hockey and you're in Canada, and Cam is, by the All-Star break, even if you can't stop thinking about taking a vacation someplace sunny and warm, but you don't want to miss out on any of the hockey action, look for a BetChris near your next holiday destination.
BetChris is one of the leading sports books in the Western Hemisphere, with hundreds of sports betting locations throughout the Caribbean and Latin America.
Watch the game at a BetChris location. Food and drink specials and VIP lounges are available at many BetChris locations. Use the promo code PODCAST when you open your BetChris account.
Place some bets on your game and collect your cash at the window when the game is over.
BetChris offers single bets, parlay bets, teasers, and more on pregame and live odds for hockey and all your favorite Canadian and American sports leagues. And BetChris offers a variety of team and player props, including futures.
BetChris offers the best value odds on Canadian and international sports. Use the promo code PODCAST when you open up your account at a BetChris location. Deposit $750 or more and get up to a 40% reduced commission on your sports bets, up to minus 106 on single bets and parlay bets. That's the best juice in the biz.
So, if you're planning a trip to exotic locations from the Caribbean and Mexico to Peru and almost everywhere in between, the odds are very good. There's a BetChris Sportsbook where you're going on holiday. For more information about visiting a BetChris location while you're on holiday or to listen to or subscribe to the Hockey Betting Podcast, visit BetChrisCanada.net. That's BetChrisCanada.net. Cam, you're Canadian. When you leave Canada and you're heading south, use the promo code PODCAST.
You're listening to the Hockey Betting Podcast, presented by BetChrisCanada.net. This is the Hockey Betting Preview for Thursday, November 28th, 2019. And now, live from Las Vegas, the host of the Hockey Betting Podcast, Brian Blessing.
We absolutely love talking hockey with you. Brian Blessing in Las Vegas, north of the border, the one, the only Cam Stewart. We got to talk fast because there's a lot of games, Cam. Three games
Sure.
and three games in 4 days for everybody. Backup goalies everywhere.
Yeah, craziness, Brian. Yeah, they got one game on Thanksgiving, but the day after, man, there's a lot of things going on. And what can we say? We'll give ourselves the old Barry Horowitz pat on the back. Sheldon Keefe with the Leafs, just so I follow them. You follow Vegas, and beating the Red Wings 6-0. Unbelievable stuff. They obviously wanted Mike Babcock out of the room. The players are happy. And two of our former teams, the battle of the QEW, Brian, your Buffalo Sabres against Toronto tonight. It's a backup night. But I look at the Sabres goaltending situation with 1A and 1B with Hutton and Allmark. But Hutchison getting the start, and I really like what Sheldon Keefe's doing. Unlike Babcock, who was rigid in his ways, I'm always going to start Freddie Anderson the first game of a back-to-back. Well, this guy played in the American Hockey League. He's used to, earlier start times, and I think it's a great move. That's what I'm talking about, thinking outside the box, a guy the players like. But should be a good game. The Leafs are on a heater, and Buffalo, they need a win. A tight one against Calgary. Thought they would catch them with the Bill Peters story going on.
Well, if you didn't watch the game, I mean, that's the thing. You wake up, you read a paper, you read blah, blah.
Yeah.
Literally, it's typical. They blow the game. But Buffalo threw the kitchen sink at them, and Rittich stood on his head. Buffalo killed Calgary and lost the game. Now, Toronto has won 4 games in a row in this series, and that's rare. And this is a matinee game. And you mentioned it, Cam. Hutchison starting. Hutton is starting. Allmark is the better goalie. Allmark is now getting the lion's share of starts. Hutton's save percentage is now like .860 or something of late. I can't see. And this is, we've always said this. I've known you more than a decade.
Yeah.
Over in Buffalo, under in Toronto.
Yeah.
And you know what? The dog is a little attractive to me because Johansson came back into Buffalo's lineup, and he's a world of difference maker. The big trades have got to be happening with the Sabres any day. But you got to play over 6.5 with these two goalies. And I don't think you waste. And by the way, one of the gifts from the gods is maybe one of the biggest cupcakes we'll ever get in our life, and that would have been the Leafs on the puck line, even money against Detroit in their last game. They're feeling their oats.
I was on it, Brian, and that's a place. You also you have to dig deep. This is the thing about hockey gambling. When guys play for the London Knights or the Windsor Spitfires, you look at locations where they're close to junior, friends and family coming there. It's kind of like the Montreal, when you go French players in Montreal and a lot of people, Ontario Hockey League in Toronto, the Leafs, they always get their best. So those are things that you have to look at. And I love what you're saying about this game. There's no way. At 6.5, sometimes now I look for the under because the books are adjusting, but not with these goaltenders. Hutchinson, when he played Chicago the last time when he started, they scored 3 goals, basically like chased him. It was actually one of the nails in Babcock's coffin. Buffalo, they'll get goals on Toronto because you know they're going to work and they hate these guys. Vice versa. I see a 6-5 type of game. The games I used to go to when I went to HSBC, when I get those free casino tickets, Brian, I've seen so many Buffalo-Toronto games in Buffalo and in Toronto, and you're absolutely correct. We did not see one game go under, and I've been to about 8 of them, usually 7-4, craziness. These games are back and forth. I got to take the over, and I'll tell you something. I would probably lean to the dog.
Yeah, the over is the safe play, but I would just throw the cautionary tale out. Be careful, playing the Leafs on the road here. I mean, it's going to be a great atmosphere. The holiday weekend, and oh, by the way, you know what? You want an intangible thing, Cammie? I swear to you, and our producer Mike gets mad at me when I do this. It's a hockey thing. Why did you throw the football thing in? Or is it, well, you know what? What do I tell you, Cam? When you're betting sports, I use horse racing terminology and sometimes horse racing thought processes in sports.
Everything's
betting.
Connected, buddy.
Okay.
Everything's connected. Yeah.
All right. And I'm going to do this. We just did a college football podcast, and I just said the same thing to Bruce. Oh, the producer Mike's going to yell at me. He's going to be mad at me. I don't care. I'm doing it because it matters. If you can't see the forest through the trees, that intangible things mean something. And I'm doing it again, Mike. The Bills beat the Cowboys, right?
Yes.
I said all week long. Now I follow them. Well, okay, I'm an idiot. I have no life. I'm the happiest clam in the world today. But I said all last week, you know why Buffalo's going to go in there and win that game? Is last year they had the number 2 defense in the league. Trey White is Stephon Gilmore. I mean, he's one of the best corners in the league. Micah Hyde and Poyer, they're 2 of the best safeties in the league. They were the number 2 defense in football last year. They didn't make the Pro Bowl. They're never on TV, Cam.
Yeah.
They're never on Sunday night.
That's a great point.
They're never on Monday night.
You're right.
Right? So this is a game where we're going in here, hey, assholes, look at me.
Yeah.
Right? And it was their chance to play in front of all their colleagues. And there were more guys than those 3 that made a name for themselves yesterday. All right?
Yep.
So what I'm saying is that there's cross-sport intangibles that matter. So now the long-winded point to get to this game today is the Bills flew home last night. Thanksgiving Day. There's 200 people at the airport going bananas, cheering the Bills, right? For winning a Thanksgiving Day. You think the Sabres don't want a piece of that momentum in the community?
It's actually,
they're going to be jacked because the Bills won, and they want to be part of that fun.
Yeah, and Mike, don't hate me. I'm just going to give one more point by Brian. We love you, by the way. The Washington Mystics, as crazy as it sounds, when they won the WNBA, what happened? That was when the Capitals went on a heater. One more point. Ed Oliver, University of Houston, playing in Texas, another one of his best games in his career. We'll wrap that one up in a nice tight bow. It happens, man. Guys get fired up. Allen's family was there. Let's rock. I guarantee the Leafs are going to get the Sabres' best effort, and they've also been on a heater. It could be a letdown spot, but we'll talk about a few other games, Brian. I find the card interesting but tough.
All right, Colorado's at Chicago. I think Colorado's the better team. Pick. I don't know.
I do too, but it's amazing to me, and we'll talk about this on future shows, teams that you should look at now for odds to win. Like a team like Vegas at 14, they're missing guys if they get the piece. Colorado, the same thing. Odds have gone down way too far. They're doing it without star players. They beat a red-hot Edmonton Oilers team, Brian, 4-1. Edmonton scored the first goal, and Colorado steamrolled them after that. And they're missing tons of players. It's amazing to me. The Avalanche are one of the best teams in the league. Chicago laying 20 cents. I hope those guys basically are like me, at about 5 plates of turkey with that tryptophan, and they're going to have drool running down their face, and they can't even put on their skates because their ankles have swelled. They ate so much. I'm cheering for Colorado in this spot, and what do we get? A plus price? Yeah, that seems pretty good to me.
All right, let me throw a weird one at you. Ottawa's at Minnesota.
Kind of like Ottawa.
Minnesota's $1.75. It's the total I'm looking at, Cam. The
5.5?
The total is 5.5.
Low.
Minnesota is an over team. All right. But of late, Ottawa can't shoot it in the ocean. But wait a second. They lose 2-1 to the Bruins. They lose 1-0 at Columbus. Columbus can't shoot it in the ocean. They play a neutral zone trap. They're, and then they beat the Rangers 4-1. I'm just saying, in a game of this nature, Kachuk, Shabbat, the total's low. They're just sometimes I think it's a bad number.
Yeah, I agree. And Ottawa, you're right. They got problems with Craig Anderson too. He's hurt. They're trying to play a more defensive style. It worked for a bit, but then we saw that win against Montreal, Brian. We can equate it now. The Canadians are so bad; they're the worst team in the league right now. So that win Ottawa had against them seems a lot less impressive now. I agree with you. 5.5 is too low. I can tell you one thing: with your money, my money, Mike's money, I wouldn't be laying $1.85 on the Minnesota Wild, though. In any type of situation, the over's where we'll look.
For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today simply by going to the website betchriscanada.net. All right, right here in Vegas. Vegas is $1.60. The total is 5.5 to the over. It's not Fleury. It's going to be Subban or Sparks. It could be Sparks.
Former Leafs backup. You guys
it's looking.
Yes.
It looks. Marc-Andre Fleury's got a family illness. He's back in Quebec. Vegas pulled a rabbit out of their hat the other night in Nashville. They scored with
1 second left.
0.3 seconds left, tied it, won it in overtime. And I know. I tell you, I'm a hockey cam, and we're watching that game, and I'm sitting there with a friend. At Nashville, they win a faceoff. There's 28 seconds left. I don't know if it was Yossi, but the puck comes right back to the defenseman, and literally no one near him. All he's got to do is flip it in the air to center ice, and the game is over. And the jackass shoots for the empty net and misses. And Vegas scores. All right, so they're all nuts. This is the one. This is the one's going to get Vegas back on the beam. Oh, well,
not so much.
Listen, yes, big win and win for Fleury. Arizona. I watched Arizona play these guys. Vegas struggles with fast teams, and the previous game, Arizona skated rings around them. I'd be looking at the dog, bud. I mean, I was gonna look at it anyway. That was as you said, a lucky win in Nashville. I can't believe it. I had huge Nashville, Brian. Also, I was doing a show that night in game live when Vegas was up 2-0. I think I got Nashville at plus 390. I think that's what it was live. So me and my co-host smashed it. At the end of the day, when he told me, because we just forgot about that game, when Nashville was up 3-2, we're talking college basketball and this, and he goes, Cam, can I tell you something? I go, it better be good. He goes, no, Vegas just scored with half a second left, and we've lost the game. I was ready to put my head through the computer, Brian. I would have been stacked. Money in my pockets for Thanksgiving, extra treats, nothing. That's the way we do. You bet on sports. It's funny. I remember my losses a hell of a lot more of the wins, but you can't lay it down with Vegas right now. Let's call it out for what it is. A lot of luck is being involved. Arizona's a good young team with a veteran presence, too. I will take the 30-40 cents with the Coyotes. I won't go as far as to say great minds think alike. I'll say half-wits think alike. We're sitting watching the game with the guy he knows the game, and it was 2-0, and I had no money in my account.
Right? You want to bet it on Nashville?
Oh no! And I looked at him. I said, "I'm telling you, if I had money in there right now, I'd be betting Nashville with 2 fists.
Yeah, and I did, Brian. Welcome to my world, buddy. That's the only reason I'm down in one of my accounts. Like, I could be crushing it right now. That was a hard defeat too, because I got a great number when they were down 2 goals. What do we do with the rest of these games?
Well, here, go to Nashville. I mean,
let's talk about Nashville.
How do they react from that? At Carolina plus 15 cents. Arvidsson's out. The thing was, Saros was the goalie the other night. He played really, really well. And they're asking Laviolette. He goes, no, he's played good. And so it's like, is there a chink in the armor a little bit with Pekka Rinne, but Rinne's going to get the start here against Mrazek. I kind of like Nashville.
Yeah.
I don't love it.
It's hard to go back to a team, but I don't know what to think of Nashville, Brian. It's one of those teams we talked about, and we've been doing this for a while now. I just don't think they're as good as everyone thinks they are, and they proved it the other night. I'm worried. Carolina's at home, but you know what? The line's telling you something. I'm seeing 30 cents right now. I would have made Carolina at home against Nashville 50. So it feels like they're begging you to take Kane's money. You have to look at lines. You have to look at line movement. It's not everything in gambling, but you have to look at and assess it and say, what are the books? What side are they wanting? I can tell you one thing. A lot of people will be smashing Carolina if they're only laying 30 cents. You're right. Nashville could be the side in this game. I'm going to have a hard pass on it for now. I got to think about some other stuff.
Okay, I'm going to throw one at you, and then if there's something else on the board, we'll look to the weekend. But the get-out game tonight is St. Louis and Dallas, and it is a Stanley Cup playoff. You ain't going to see this very often at this time of year, and it's Binnington versus Bishop. 5s are out there for a total. Yo, just the number alone, as insane as it is telling you to bet the under here.
I agree. And you talk about it. St. Louis doesn't score, and they're going to do one thing. They're going to clamp down on Dallas tonight. I actually like it. If we got that 5.5, it would be one of my better plays, because I think it could end up 5, like 2-2, maybe a 3-2 shootout final. This game is going to be tight, Brian, and I lean to the home team, Dallas. They're playing really, really well. Pavelski has fit into that club nicely now with that playoff style they had where they're just hitting everybody, whatever. They've opened it up a little bit. They're a dangerous team. As for St. Louis, they're playing 15-5-6 too, man. This is a great game. I really wish we got that hook, because I would take the under, but I have a lean to Dallas and the under in a 3-1 type of game, maybe an empty netter.
All right. Is there another game on the card for tonight? Otherwise, we'll go to Saturday. You got something you like?
We can go rapid fire here. Pittsburgh and Columbus. Any thoughts? Can Columbus catch these guys at home, getting 15 cents? Maybe. They've been.
I like under in anything at Columbus.
Yeah. I think, and that total 6. And Tampa Bay and Washington 6.5. That sounds like a football game. You know what I mean? It could be 10-7. I don't know what the hell is going to go on there, but Washington laying 15 cents, 6.5. What do you think?
It would be over or nothing. I had the Florida Washington game over the other night.
Me too, and it was scary.
And it started. It was nothing forever.
I like betting in game, and I won.
And it got there. I mean, how do you play anything under with those two teams?
I agree 100%. No opinion of the Rangers, Boston, Detroit, and Philadelphia sounds like a dog's breakfast. Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, let's go to tomorrow. And I just say, let today guide you for tomorrow.
Yes.
If we're right today, then do what we tell you for tomorrow. Let's go there, because if we're right today, then at worst you're going to break even. But if the Buffalo-Toronto game goes over the total today, tomorrow you're getting Anderson and Ullmark as the goalies. And if this is a 5-3 game, right, they'll make the total 6.5, Camp.
For sure they will.
So if you're rooting for the high scoring game today, and then they'll give you plus money. They'll make the total tomorrow 6.5 over 30, and it's going to be a 3-1 game.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't agree more, Brian. Also, I don't know what to do. Like, looking at tomorrow's card, I guess we could start it off. There's a couple matinees, Philadelphia and Montreal. I don't know what's going on with Montreal. I watched Claude Julien. I watched Claude Julien's press conference last night. Yeah, he was almost in tears. They played well, but many defensive breakdowns. You're right. Like, there is no defense. Carey Price is struggling. They might get 5 themselves against the Flyers, but the Flyers might get 7.
They may. By the way, buddy, the total may be 7 in this game. I'd make it 7. I mean, the last 3 games, for the Canadians. Lose 6-5 to the Rangers, lose 8-1 to Boston, lose 6-4 to the Devils. Mother of God. I mean, you got to play the over.
Yeah, I'd love to take Philadelphia, but Montreal might be so desperate, but the over is the play in that game. We talked about the Toronto under with the real goaltenders. It's a tough card, though. Flames back home. This is an interesting spot. So the Flames steal one in Buffalo. Now they come home against an inferior team in Ottawa. I can't believe Peters hasn't been fired yet with all the players coming out and the craziness, but they're doing their due diligence with this investigation, I guess. But obviously, I think the players would rather play for the assistant coach anyway. That seems to be the vibe that I'm getting when I'm watching all the hockey shows. But I think they should be able to take Ottawa out to the woodshed, Brian.
All right. By the way, I'm double checking real quick. Oh boy. All right. Well, tonight.
Just breaking news. Out as Flames coach.
Peters
ago. Done. So
well, that was a no. I mean, you knew
that was a no. That was a no-brainer. It was going to happen now by the time of taping or like later today. But yeah, exactly.
By the way, okay. So where are they?
They're at home. They're at home
Saturday?
against Ottawa. See, that's a good angle. New coach at home.
Ottawa.
You like Ottawa?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Listen, Flames first game home from a 4-game road trip.
Yeah.
The Sabres almost killed. I mean, the Sabres should have killed them. Rittich stood on his head. It wasn't like, oh, we're rallying around the coaches in here. Buffalo murdered them and can't shoot it in the ocean. It's the first game home from a 4-game road trip. I don't know.
I'll tell you one thing, buddy. You'll get a great number on Ottawa. You might even take them in regulation, plus a half puck in a tie you win, or plus 1.5, because Calgary will be a big favorite in that game. I don't care about the road trip. You know that. But it
would be Ottawa playing back-to-back nights. I mean, you're going to get a balloon number. What I was going to say was tonight, though, it's Grubauer versus Crawford, which means Leonard will be in the offing tomorrow. But you're going to get the backup for Colorado tomorrow. I was thinking the Colorado-Chicago game tonight could be under, and then Chicago will play that forward high. And I'll put it this way. If the game goes on, I can't say it with Leonard. I would have thought under tonight and over tomorrow with Colorado-Chicago. But
yeah, and Colorado tomorrow's Francouz is going to be the starter there. They'll post a 6.5 there, and it still should go over.
Well, wait a minute then. How about Chicago tomorrow? No matter what happens tonight with Leonard against him,
especially if they lose, and we like Colorado tonight. See, this is how you play hockey: the tic-tac-toe, right? If Colorado goes into Chicago and wins, then we go back the other night. We'll take Chicago as a dog in Colorado and get a nice number.
And the bottom line is the majority of these home and homes, right? Like as long as we've been watching hockey, yeah, I guess occasionally every blue moon it happens. But how you don't see teams win game 1 of a home and home 6-1 and then go home and win the next one 6-1.
No, it doesn't happen that way.
It doesn't happen that way, right?
No, you're right, and it's kind of like baseball in double headers. So it's usually a split. Or the game is really, really close. I agree with you 100%. I'd be careful. Yeah, so the moral of the story is today, Brian, when we're talking, is today is going to affect tomorrow very, I would even say more so than any other time of the year. Thanksgiving, family, holidays, that's the thing. We got to find these angles, and we're all over them because right now it's there's only one game the other night on Thanksgiving, 2 very big slates the next night. So who knows what's going on, but I really like where you're going with this. We could find these angles with backup goaltenders, tired teams, all sorts of stuff.
All right, and then Sunday, there's only 3 games, but Montreal, Boston, it was just 8-1. I'd go over the total again. What's going to change? You're not laying $3 with Boston.
No, Montreal might score a few this time, and Boston, I wouldn't be surprised if they got to lucky 7 or 8 again. Montreal's got a real defensive problem now. It's sick, actually, how bad it is. So, yes, you can't get off this Montreal over train until they figure something out.
All right, there you go. Quick look at the weekend. We love talking hockey. He's Cam Stewart. I'm Brian Blessing. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, my friend, because it's amazing. The games today will have tentacles into the games on the weekend, bud.
You've been listening to the Hockey Betting Podcast, presented by BetChrisCanada.net.
For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today simply by going to the website BetChrisCanada.net.
The handicapping and sports odds information contained on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm the wagering regulations in your jurisdiction, as they vary from state to state, province to province, and country to country. Using this information to contravene any law or statute is prohibited. The podcast is not associated with, nor is it endorsed by any professional or collegiate league, association, or team. This podcast does not target and is not intended for an audience under the age of 18. If you think that you have a gambling addiction, stop this podcast now and please seek help.
Gambling and betting on sports is a form of entertainment and should be about having a good time. But when done excessively, it may negatively affect other areas of a person's life, such as their physical and mental health, school or work performance, finances, and or interpersonal relationships. At BetChrisCanada.net and the Hockey Betting Podcast, we're concerned about the addiction that gambling may cause, and for this reason, we encourage everyone to practice responsible gambling, an approach to gambling that helps you ensure that it remains an enjoyable activity. Here are the main principles of responsible gambling. Don't think of gambling as a way to make money. Always gamble with money that you can afford to lose. Set limits and stick to them. Never chase losses. Don't gamble when you're depressed or upset, and create a healthy balance. Always be aware of how much time you spend gambling or thinking about gambling. And do not allow gambling to cause you to miss out on time with family and friends or time spent on other activities you enjoy. By following these guidelines, gambling can be a good time and great entertainment. If you feel at any time that your gambling is taking away from important areas of your life, is causing you stress or depression, or is leading to financial losses that are beyond your control, please reach out for help. Learn more at responsiblegambling.org.